Welcome back. I'm your host, Dr. Robert J. Gilbert. In this episode, we will continue our exploration of hidden sacred geometry patterns with the six-pointed star form of the first level of our consciousness, which in the Western tradition is called the astral body. So while our etheric life body manifests in space as the five-pointed form of a star or a pentagram, the astral body of consciousness has as one of its forms the hexagram in 3 dimensions, which is known technically as the stellated octahedron, or more popularly, as the star tetrahedron. Let's take a look at some of the sacred geometry secrets behind this form of our soul body, the astral body of consciousness. This journey into secrets of the Merkaba, our activated body of soul travel, will take us into core sacred geometry blueprints from the mind of God. In the esoteric tradition, each of the 4 elements is a manifestation of the primary subtle body levels. Earth equals our physical body. Water equals our etheric body of life force. Air equals our soul or astral body of consciousness. And fire equals our spirit core. So from the hidden temple teachings, the octahedron is the form which completes and encloses the cubical cross by connecting the ends of the 3 axes of physical space, whereas the cube encloses the cubical cross of physical space by creating a wall at the end of each axis. As we have seen, this makes the black cube of space, the divine thought form behind the container of the physical world for spirits to incarnate into. So the octahedron is the opposite polarity to the black cube container of the physical body. It is the astral body of consciousness within the physical. This is the sacred geometry from the mind of God, of how our soul life is hidden within our physical body. We need to remember that in the hidden temple teachings, the term astral comes from the root aster, meaning a star. A star is a point of light in the darkness. So the next part of the deeper Merkaba teaching is that many fundamental sacred geometry forms can be turned into a star form, a process called stellation. The basic geometric solid form is a vessel, a container, whereas the star form radiates outward like a sun, rather than containing. You will recall that when we do the 0-point centering process, we move all of our energy and attention dynamically into the center of the center of the center of an energetic location in our body, in order to connect to the divine center of that location and thereby activate it. Once we have activated that center, then the radiance process begins. The activated center streams out energy and light in all directions like a sun. This is the master method to activate any energy center in our body. It's a key technique for advanced spiritual practices. In pure sacred geometry archetypes from the mind of God, a solid form like a platonic solid can turn into a star through a similar process. Energy on every face of the form streams into the center of that face, activating that center and raising it vertically above the face. Lines of energy then connect that raised center to the baselines of that face. The octahedron of the air and astral consciousness stellates by taking the divine center of each face and moving it straight upward, then connecting it to the triangle of each face, thus making the stellated octahedron. This also means that the connection of the raised central point to the triangular base makes a tetrahedron on each face of the octahedron. These 8 tetrahedrons, one on each of the 8 faces of the octahedron, then remarkably give the appearance of the entire form, now being 2 interpenetrating tetrahedra. This is the reason for the alternative name for the stellated octahedron being the star tetrahedron, a name popularized by Leonardo da Vinci. So the activation of the octahedron into a radiant star form creates the stellated octahedron, which could also be seen as a star tetrahedron. Both perspectives are accurate. Each one is a different facet of the jewel, of this exquisite spiritual form from the mind of God. From this second perspective of adding the tetrahedrons onto each face, and thereby turning the entire form of the octahedron into what appears to be a double tetrahedron, it is important to note that the tetrahedron is the form for fire. Fire is the element connected to our spirit core, our divine spark from the ocean of fire of the Godhead, which gets activated above our heads during higher initiation. So what does this all mean? It means that the Merkaba activation of our subtle bodies allows them to become divine vehicles for us to move through higher worlds, which is one of the greatest attainments of spiritual development and a great ancient secret of initiation. This activation of the Merkaba is based on the activation of our consciousness, the astral body of the octahedron, through applying the tetrahedron of spiritual fire. This brings us to another great hidden sacred geometry secret of our activated soul body, the star tetrahedron, that it is formed within the incubator of the black cube of physical incarnation, which unfolds into the cross of our physical body. This means that it is through our difficult experiences of incarnation in the physical body, in a physical world, that our activated soul body of the star tetrahedron gestates into its perfected form, like a caterpillar in a cocoon becoming the butterfly. The star tetrahedron of our activated soul body is thus the fruit of our earthly physical incarnation, which, although often challenging and painful, is nonetheless essential for humanity's spiritual flowering. When the cube of space is unfolded into the cross of our physical body, the star tetrahedron of our activated consciousness is revealed.